And considering the fact that we have extended the right of Councilor Lentorio to explain himself before this August body, but that he refused, I think it is already high time that we would file a case against Honorable Lentorio. However, Mr. Chair, when we had this meeting with the mayor last Saturday, after explaining to him the evidence, pieces of evidence that we have and the apparent involvement of Councilor Lentorio, he manifested his desire to join us in filing the appropriate case, Mr. Chair. So I was wondering, Mr. Chair, if there's a way to include the Honorable Mayor, Mr. Chair, because I think, Mr. Chair, if it is actually the city of Dgte would file a case against a particular individual before this, before the office of the President or the office of the Ombudsman, as the case may be, we would actually have a stronger case, Your Honor. Especially, Mr. Chair, that the mayor had already informed us of his desire also to, or his willingness to also file a similar case, Mr. Chair. We would just submit the pieces of evidence that we have, Mr. Chair. That's just my humble concern, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Senator, yes.
Actually, this is just a very quick question, Mr. Chair. Will we attach copies of our findings included in this resolution?
Yes, sir.
So every...
I mean in this particular letter.
So there, at least we could add, attach here our findings that we found pertaining to this case to fast-track the investigation, something like that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Honorable Ramon is recognized.
Just query, Mr. Chair, would it not proper for us to make a verified complaint instead of a letter addressed to the Ombudsman, considering that the Ombudsman is a level court with the Prosecutor's Office? This is a letter, meaning magsugod sila very elementary, basig mabalik rin sa nato ang kaninga letter. Kay knowing the process of the government, Mr. Chair, if such particular LGU, kung doon na siya paggasto sa panudlanan nga dili mao, it's the COA or Commission in Audit who would issue a notice of disallowance. And that notice of disallowance is already a first step for the COA to file a case before the Ombudsman. So maybe we can check on that matter, Mr. Chair. And also, with the comment also of Councilor Sagabria, I think we need also to attach our minutes from the very beginning of our regular or executive session, all of it in a form of a verified petition, Mr. Chair. That's my comment. Thank you.
It's a very sound observation, and we cannot do it within the week, but I think it's a wiser choice of action, and we just have to explain this to the people nga medyo malangan na po ni gamay, because it's going to be very formal now. It's really going to be a complaint against him before the office of the Ombudsman. So it's the issues raised by Honorable Secretary and Honorable Ramon are very sound. Okay, Honorable Arbas and then Honorable Vandal.
I would like to manifest a volunteer to be part of the prosecution, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Vandal, sir.
Mr. Chair, with due respect, if it is actually to the office of the President, Mr. Chair, that's already an accusation, Mr. Chair. It could be through a verified complaint, Mr. Chair. That's according to our rules, Mr. Chair. That's according to the law. But with respect to the Ombudsman, I understand that this is still a fact-finding body, Mr. Chair. It's not yet complete, Mr. Chair.
Unless, of course, we elevate it to a complaint.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
That's why I said earlier, we have to draft the complaint, Your Honor. I mean, we have to come up with a committee to draft either a complaint or a letter like this, because I believe there are already a few crimes that have been committed and established by the Council. Una na si Aladdin, si Patrick George, and in the presence of Council Lentorio, that will be one kind of case case separate from the transaction itself. And we can have probably another case for the transaction itself for graft and corruption. So kaya siya, parang ako, can be already established through the records that we already have. And the fact that we are going to pay them 12 million pesos already be sufficient proof that there is indeed a crime committed. Whether nabayaran or hindi, the act has already been established. So I suggest that we draft the complaint itself. Such a ombudsman pa na, whether a fact-finding investigation will be done by the ombudsman, first must come to the complaint directly against the people involved. Then, if they want to proceed with a fact-finding investigation, ilan na. But let's file the complaint.
Also, Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
very quickly, maybe the ombudsman might question where is the findings of their commission and audit. I think the ombudsman would question it, so I think we would make a verified complaint aside from doing just a plain letter, Mr. Chair.
Your Honor,
Honorable
I'd
Arbas.
like to differ on the COA's finding, Your Honor. Kung mabayaran na, the COA can do the post audit. Then the COA can already determine kung nakita na illegal. But in this case, hindi man na kabayan o nabayaran o wala. Kabayan mo yung preference na gihatag sa private businessman diri sa gobyerno. So, kana siya itself is the one that we're going to find, not the payment of the food eaten by the people.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
what I'm saying is, dapat before tamato ombudsman, dapat sulit ato ang kanang sulat. It should be in the form of a verified complaint. Yan, isulti ko nga moagi o COA, no? Just like the normal process sa city government, ang COA gi-initiate o kanang kaso. But this thing, wala man siya ni sugod o COA, so kita diri sa council, kinahanglan, bukat ang ato ang letter to the ombudsman, kay basig mabalikan ta. Para bag ingon nga, oy, internal affairs man ni sa city government, so what are you doing? Department heads, what are you doing there? COA, what are you doing? Somehow like that ba? So ang ato kinahanglan sulit ato ang sulat before ta mulabay dito sa ombudsman sa kaso.
Okay. We will draft, I'm sure, we defer to our chair, Committee on Rules, whether this is going to be referred to the committee or done on an individual basis. Depende na lang kung who would be available. Okay, who would have the time, to draft this complaint. Okay, so we will address these concerns. Again, in behalf of the council, this will take time. This was more or less a letter to the ombudsman to address the short-term and urgent interest, especially of the public regarding the issue kung unsa atong buhaton. But I think this is discussed well enough, and I think the people of Dgte will understand that we need more time to formalize everything now rather than just a two-page letter. Okay,
Mr. Chair.
I
I see the point of Councilor Ramon, Mr. Chair. That is actually good. I just want to have to seek some clarification on what you said, Mr. Chair. Does she mean, Mr. Chair, that as of the present, Mr. Chair, with the evidence that we have, it is still not sufficient to file a case, or is she saying that we need to investigate further, Mr. Chair?
With the indulgence of Honorable Ramon, I think she's just manifesting her thoughts that as much as possible it's foolproof. We just want to be sure. I think more than a concern, Honorable Ramon. Honorable Predecessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'd like to associate things the way I usually see things happening in the Blue Ribbon Committee in the Senate when they conduct investigations of issues on corruptions or other inappropriate behavior of government and government officials. If I remember correctly, especially on the chairmanship of Senator Gordon, he always states that his committee will come out with a committee report, and this committee report, together with all the details uncovered, will be handed to the appropriate body to conduct a formal investigation or complaint. So, what I'm trying to drive at is, should then, while we draft a formal, if we need to draft a formal complaint, shouldn't we also be ready with our committee report to substantiate this, the complaint or the referral, whether we make ourselves the complainant or we refer it to the Ombudsman as the complainant to this matter? Shouldn't we have our committee report ready for the Ombudsman to start whatever they need to do? Mr. Chair.
On this issue, Honorable Tolentino Maxine.
Yes, on that issue, Mr. Chair, I think we need to decide on whether we will be the complainant or we just refer the issue to the Ombudsman for investigation. So I think we need to put that into a vote, Mr. Chair, or not necessarily a vote, but I think we have to agree. Are we going to sign as complainant in a verified complaint, or we'll just send all the documents to the proper body for investigation?
Okay, with the indulgence of body, we will prepare the complaint, and we cannot force anybody to sign it. In fact, even if we don't do this, any private citizen can do this in behalf of themselves as taxpayers. So it doesn't really have to be that formal. We'll just draft the complaint so that it's going to be more formal and backed up by the proper documents. And with respect to the concern of a committee report, it's not, for me, absolutely necessary. We could always refer to our committee findings in the meantime, because committee report will, unless of course a committee report only will up to this date. But all the same, no such committee report is necessary. These are all matters of public record. We can always use these public records as supporting the documents of our material allegations. Okay, Honorable Arbas and then Honorable Maxino before we...
I agree, Your Honor. I join the position of the Vice Mayor. Anybody who wants to join the complaint, let them join. If they wish to investigate or seek investigation the Ombudsman, then members of the council can do so. But I believe that this is properly for filing a criminal and administrative complaint against our fellow councilor and those who are involved.
Okay. Okay, Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually agree with Councilor Arbas, Mr. Chair, the presiding chair, that filing a complaint is I don't know if they've mentioned it, but I think it's the best thing to do, considering that when we file a complaint, the Ombudsman will immediately act on it and conduct a preliminary investigation and of course resolve it. Compared to just referring everything to them, I think it would take time. So might as well identify the crime committed and then attach the evidence to prove such crime and file a proper complaint in order for the proper body to resolve it immediately. So, and this is also to manifest that I'm also willing to sign the complaint, Sir Chair.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Honorable Batal,
Mr. Chair, just a matter of procedure, Mr. Chair. If we file a complaint, Mr. Chair, I understand it's against elected officials, it's before the office of the President, Mr. Chair. Very good.
Okay.
But maybe there's no harm if we also file, or maybe we can also file a case before the ombudsman, because then it will be also criminal and administrative. I believe the case before the office of the President is only administrative matters.
I think kita mga lawyers, the difficult part here is really filing the complaint. Kung asa na ito address o kung sa atong ganahan buhat, I think it's the easier part, whether it's going to be administrative or criminal. Making those allegations, backing it up with documents is the hard work. Okay? So with that in mind, we set ourselves a timetable maybe by the end of the week. Tingnan natin dali-dalion. And then for those, especially Honorable Arbas has already volunteered himself. Perhaps on this matter, we take the lead of Honorable Arbas and everybody, those who wish to participate.
Mr. Chair, I think, Mr. Chair, the Committee on Blue Ribbon should take the lead with the others who wants to join, Mr. Chair. Considering the fact that although Councilor Lentorio is a member of the Blue Ribbon Committee and the case is against him, but most or all of the members of the Committee on Good Governance and Public Ethics, Mr. Chair, are all lawyers who already knows how to treat or how to make a complaint and what are the necessary things to include there, Mr. Chair. This is without prejudice, Mr. Chair, to those who also want to join in drafting the complaint.
On that point, I consider that this is more or less we will be filing this in our individual capacities. That is why the chair hesitates to really formally endorse this to the Committee on Rules. I was thinking of Honorable Tolentino Maximus babies. Mag-draft pa siya kami. Yan na naman sa Atty. Arbas. Nag-volunteer. So I think with the indulgence of Honorable Bandal, we draft and then we refer it to the other lawyers of the council also.
I would be happy if Council Bandal and Council Tolentino would also join me on so that we can fast track the attachments.
We can help with that, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't know with Councilor Tolentino, Mr. Chair, if she would also be willing.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I already manifested, Mr. Chair. But as mentioned earlier by Councilor, Honorable Vice Mayor Cordova, it would be better if Honorable Arbas would lead this ad hoc committee, Mr. Chair, for the filing of the complaint.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is even elevated to an ad hoc committee, but I'm sure. Honorable Predecessor?
Mr. Chair, are we allowed as a council to seek legal services, outside legal services, to help in drafting or doing? Is it part of our budget or things like that?
Are we going to pay Attorney Arbas?
No, not any one of us. Because we are also involved. We're involved in the investigation, things like that. We might say things as admissible, but a certain lawyer, maybe an outside lawyer can tell us or guide us in saying so and so is not admissible, these things. Because it's going to be a formal complaint, I'd like to make sure that we cover all that.
My quick reaction is that the answer is, as an institution, no. Only the mayor can enter into contracts in behalf of the government or any office of the government. So we cannot enter into contracts. If ever we engage the services of a lawyer, it's already for a legal contract. We don't have that legal personality. Okay. So we set ourselves a timetable, Siguro, and yes.
Just a consideration on the desire of the Honorable Chair. If the whole council would be, I think going back to the point earlier raised by Councilor Tolentino, but maybe we give the council the opportunity to decide whether they want this as a collegial act or as individual. If some members would not be willing, then let's proceed with our plan on doing this on our individual capacities, because that's the direction. But if the council as a collegial body would be willing to file this complaint, then they could trust the lawyer members of the council to draft the complaint. That would be much better, Your Honor. Anyway, I think the council, we owe this to the public council, so.
My humble suggestion, with due respect to Honorable Secretary, pag ato sa natagay isulat, and then ato ipahatag sa mga members sa council, para yung kaso, makaduol po sila laing abogado, and then check na ko, kaya rin mo pirma ba niya, di ba? Anak lang siguro, so we get it down in writing first, so that we could also seek the legal opinion of others. Honorable Secretary, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, what you said was precisely my point. And number two, Mr. Chair, I think it would be best, given the option that we do this as a collegial body, because it would bear more weight, especially to an ombudsman and to COA. So I think nobody here is going to contest that. So, Mr. Chair.
Okay.